What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl, Gossip Girl. So I want to talk to you today about the Times Square shooting. I didn't jump on it when it first happened because I wanted to see if they was going to catch the guy immediately. But it seems to be that he is still on the hunt. The law enforcement is still hunting for him. His name is Farrakhan Muhammad, and the police sources say that Farrakhan Muhammad tried to shoot his brother but missed. Okay, instead, he hit three people, including a 43-year-old Marcella Aldana from Passaic, New Jersey, a 4-year-old girl from Brooklyn, and a lady named Wendy Magnarat, Magnarat, who was visiting from Rhode Island. I started screaming, "I'm going to die," said Wendy. It was like one of those worst experiences in my life. And I could imagine being shot. I mean, the pain, it must be painful. Um, so there was a video going around of an officer um, carrying the 4-year-old, running through Times Square trying to get the little girl to safety. Um, as for Aldana from Passaic, Mayor Hector Laura said she didn't even realize initially that she was hit. They had heard two individuals who began arguing, and it had escalated from there. They had heard shots, and everyone began to run. She grabbed her daughter. Aldana will have surgery next week to remove the bullet. Okay, so according to police, Muhammad is known to the NYPD for illegal vending in Times Square area. That includes a harassment charge in March of last year after a vendor-related dispute during which he pushed a tourist. Now, let me just talk to you guys about something real quick. As you know, I'm a New Yorker. From Brooklyn, and I have experienced things on Times Square. Now, back in the day, Times Square used to look real rough until Rudy Giuliani. Got to give the man his props. He cleaned it up because it was nothing but pimps and the street walkers, the night ladies and stuff like that, and those nasty movies all over the place. If you know New York from back then, you know what I'm talking about. So it got cleaned up, and now it's become one of the most attractive cities, okay, ever because of Times Square is now Times Square. Everybody wants to go to Times Square. It's it's very photogenic, meaning it's Instagram worthy if you are an influencer and all of that. But you can't really enjoy Times Square when it's very crowded because of the people pushing their CDs. Some people will put their CDs in front of you and say, "Hey, take a look at this CD." As soon as you look at it, okay, it's in your hand. That's $5. They are so pushy with it. So you gotta be careful when you see them approaching you. Be like, "No, thank you." Say it politely. "No, thank you. I'm not interested," and move. And keep going. But sometimes the CD people could get very aggressive, and so could those dang on characters. If you stand next to a character and take a picture with your phone, they expect for you to give them a tip. There's a lot of stuff with Times Square that goes on people don't realize. Okay. And tourists come from different places, different countries, different cities, different states, whatever, and they are attracted to Times Square. Okay, because it is a beautiful area. You got so much going on. It's lively, but there's also a downside, a really ugly side to Times Square. Okay, it may look pretty, but there's an ugly side to Times Square. And this is not the only shooting that happened in Times Square. A while ago, somebody else got hit from a shooting in Times Square as well. So the crime is going up, but I don't think it's going to get back to the 80s and late 70s, but the crime is going up in New York City and everywhere else. So you got to be careful. Now, if this keep happening in Times Square, no one is going to want to visit Times Square. Okay, the pandemic happened. It was a ghost town. It was very empty. So now that things that was opening back up, you would think that you could enjoy, going back out again and while being safe while you're doing it. and enjoy it and do what you need to do, but the crime has escalated and it's crazy. Okay? It is crazy. So when you see the people with their CDs or whatever the case, to avoid them, maybe go around them, because once you get that CD in your hand, you got to pay for it. Now, some of them are very nice. Some are nice and will ask you, well, if you don't want the CD, can you give me a donation? Now, I don't mind them because they're being nice with it. But you have some people who are very pushy, okay, who are very pushy. And I've seen some people who could be with their camera just, filming Times Square, and they'll jump in their camera and say, hey, I sell CDs. I mean, it's become real crazy, okay? So you got to be careful. You have to be careful in Times Square, 34th Street. You have to be careful all over. Not just New York City, but everywhere else as well, because the crime has went up a lot. It has escalated a lot everywhere. So this guy named Muhammad, I guess he was a CD vendor, and sometimes they can get into disputes as well with each other. But to pull out a gun. Now they said that he was trying to shoot at his brother. I don't know if that's his real brother or they call him each other brothers, but they say he was shooting at his brother and he missed and he hit 3 people. And the police said that he is known for illegal vending anyway. Okay, so here it says Alice Gaynor, a turf war between Muhammad and his brother sparked the shooting. Police have been speaking with Muhammad's brother, who told them they were arguing over space where they both illegally sell goods. Like I said, this individual is going to be found and found soon, and he's going to pay the consequences, said Mayor de Blasio. People visiting New York City on Monday said they were surprised about the weekend gun violence. I'm not surprised, but like you said, they are tourists, they are visitors, so they don't know everything that goes on in Times Square or in New York City as a whole. That just sounds like a really sad situation for everyone involved. Kristen Gus, a tourist, had told Diaz. So he is still wanted. Muhammad is still wanted. They have not caught up with him yet, but I feel they will. It says another tourist said the front of her hotel became a crime scene. We stayed here and this street was closed. Who came to, what is the name? Mrs. Blumenstein, who came to the city to visit her daughter for Mother's Day weekend. The incident happened in front of the Men's Golf Theater at a time when the city is trying to convince tourists it's safe to come back. I don't know if I expected this, and this really scares me. And that's from another tourist. If this keep happening, Times Square is not going to be back crowded or back booming like it used to be, because people are going to be worried about the violence, While police are keeping their eyes peeled for Muhammad, some tourists are also being cautious. I've never ever worried about one time, especially right here in Times Square. Then you hear something like this happening and just think something's gone wrong in the real recent past. While many are worried, de Blasio stood firm Monday, saying he believes the city is safe and the shooting won't impact tourism. Well, of course you want to say that, because you don't want the money to go. You want the money to keep coming and flowing into New York City, because New York City is a tourist spot. It is a hot spot. But with this happening, how can you make sure that people are safe? How can you make sure of it? In the end, people want to come to New York City. It's an overwhelming safe city. It don't even sound right. It's an overwhelming safe city. When you look at New York City compared to cities around the country, around the world, this is a very safe place. And there's more and more activity. The city is clearly coming back, de Blasio said. Yes, people want to come to New York City, but they don't want to come if they're going to get pushed in the train tracks. They don't want to come here if they can't enjoy Times Square or 34th Street. They don't want to come here if they have to fear for their life. They don't want to come to New York City if they can't even stay in a hotel without something else going on? New York City, man, I don't know. Sometimes I think the way things going on, because I read a lot online, different articles, and the crime, let me just tell you, off the chain. Shootings in broad daylight, it's just off the chain. I don't think it's going to go back to the 80s and 70s, but the way it looks, you just never know. You just never know. Well, I hope they catch the guy. If they catch the guy, I will update you guys about the situation. It is scary, and it makes people who live in New York City not want to go anywhere, not want to ride the train, because you just never know what's going to happen. You just never know what's going to happen. So if I hear more about this story, about this guy being caught, I will update you guys. All right, so you guys have a great day, and I will see you later.